My name is Chris Simons. I'm an assistant professor here in the Department of Food Science, and my research focus and my teaching focus is on sensory science and how foods are perceived and ultimately the sensory factors that contribute to um, product choices. So I think food labels are important in consumer purchase decisions on a number of levels. I think one, consumers are looking for information to make um, quote unquote better choices, whatever a better choice means. It could be something that's healthier, it could be something that provides some sort of a functional benefit. And I think that consumers are looking for that information that can provide them that insight that allows them to make those purchases without necessarily having to go into a great deal of research on whatever the internet or what other resources to really try to find that insights. When you look at the variety of labels that are on foods and beverages, I think that they run the gamut from things all the way from health and nutritional statements to ingredient statements to marketing statements and ultimately health and claims. And it could be things like products better than or new improved, right? And I think in some cases those customers and consumers are looking for that type of information, especially if it's a product that they've had experience with in the past or a competitive product. um, I think nowadays more and more people are really looking for functional and functionality, and they want some sort of indication that the product's going to provide that functionality, whether it's a healthier product, whether it's vegan or Whole30 compliant or whatever it happens to be. I think those types of things are really they make the job of the consumer easier, right? They puts that information sort of out front where a consumer can gain access to it in a more efficient manner. So psychologically, we're hardwired, we're geared to look at visual things, right? So images, you see these heart healthy labels and it's a heart and that has an immediate connection, right? And I think those types of logos where there's sort of a simple image and message that is behind it are really powerful and connect. Labels that require some sort of reading or some sort of additional cognitive assessment, I think ultimately may have information and convey information, but I think they don't connect as efficiently and maybe even as emotionally with consumers as some of these other types of logos. So one is to provide information that gives the consumer insights about what that product's going to convey, what that product's going to deliver. And so whether that's nutrition, whether that's heart health, whether that's some sort of functional benefit, I think those are all key. But at the same time, there's a lot of marketing that's conveyed via this messaging as well. All natural and these other types of things that don't necessarily have stringent, requirements to define what all natural is, and yet they're using them to sell product because they know that consumers, obviously, we all want things that are natural, right? So there's a lot of those types of things as well, where it's from maybe a lack of a federal regulatory position on it, and companies can sort of leverage those types of things to get consumers to purchase the product. And I mean, let's be honest, that's the whole reason a food manufacturer is going to put anything on a label, right? They need to sell product. But I think consumers have to understand what these labels are and what's the meaning behind them, and ultimately what is it that that label's conveying. The belief that a label has meaning and that there's some sort of regulation behind it, that if it's not, if it's on the label, it's because it's been vetted, right? And that's not always the case. Certain labels, especially backpack labels, right? Those labels that are required, those absolutely have meaning, and I think that those um, can be read with the belief that the information being provided is informative and it's actually going to be accurate. Other labels, organic and these other types of things are also regulated, but I think consumers have maybe a misperception of what it means. Just because something's organic doesn't mean it's healthier. It doesn't mean that it's more nutritious. Um, so I do think there's a lot of misperceptions, and I do think I don't think that it's I don't think it's malicious intent on on behalf of the food industry or anything like that. I just think that again, consumers perhaps don't do their due diligence to try to get information, and that's shame on us, right? That's shame on us as a food science and a, a food industry community to try to inform people about the about those labels and the information that's being conveyed. I think that natural so it is a marketing tool, and FDA and USDA in their literature define it as a marketing message, right? So it's not something that they want to regulate, but consumer groups are sort of pushing them into a corner. So I think we'll see a change soon. Um, but it means something to consumers, and consumers are willing to pay a premium for something that says natural. So it's two identical products that one says natural and the other doesn't. Consumer will pay more. They think it's more nutritious. They think it has more protein, more, all of the healthful benefits. They think it has much fewer, you know, preservatives and, made in a more healthy way. And it's not true at all. So it does have a huge meaning. Yeah. Be curious, ask questions, and try to find answers. There's information out there, and I think that people just need to, you know, get their information from reliable sources. Don't get it off of Facebook. Don't get it off of, a blog or whatever. Get it from a reliable source that isn't vested in any sort of, you know, outcome, right? And I think in many cases that should be, our education and our governmental systems, and and in a lot of cases as well. I think the food industry is also starting to recognize transparency is now becoming really, really important to consumers.